What's up, everybody? I'm Blessed and Free. Welcome back to another episode of DOC TV. Real quick, I just want to give a big shout out to everybody that's subscribed to the channel. I appreciate you, and thanks for rocking with me. Now let's get into this episode. I want to talk to you about what being in jail and prison can do to someone mentally, physically, and emotionally. Being institutionalized. It can come in so many different ways. When you first get arrested and booked into jail, you go in with some kind of fear. Usually the fear is from the unknown, not knowing what to expect. If you're in there for a little while, you start to learn the routine, and little by little, you start to get comfortable, as crazy as that sounds. When and if you get arrested again, it's not as big of a deal to get locked up. You kind of become familiar with the pattern, and it kind of becomes just another jail stay or an arrest. The same thing goes with prison. If you do a year or more, you start to notice yourself doing things a lot differently than you normally would. In a sense, you become desensitized. That can be to violence or to the savage ways you're living just to get by. You really get good at hiding your emotions. You kind of become antisocial. When you're locked up, you cannot trust anyone. So you start putting up walls just to protect yourself. I can remember when I met my fiance and we were at her parents' house, her mom always thought something was wrong with me because I would be emotionless. It's like your soul sinks down into this hole, and that hole is created from being in prison. The first couple of times you witness violence in there, you get this uneasy feeling in your stomach. I can remember when I was at Gulf CI and there was this gang war between the Bloods and the GDs. A Blood was on the phone and his own brother stabbed him 40-something times. It was gruesome. There was blood everywhere. The smell from the blood was strong, and it's a smell you'll always remember. But after you see that over and over again, that uneasy feeling starts to go away, and you become less affected by it. It just becomes another stabbing on a different day. I found myself looking forward to the violence. I started to develop an excitement for it. That anxiety and rush I would get before a fight, it was like that feeling when you wake up in the morning and you stretch out to the point you're almost shaking. The violence has a weird way of helping pass the time. To this day, I'm still trying to change that. I also became a speed eater. You have like 1 to 2 minutes to eat in the chow hall before they tell you to get up and go back to your dorm. I also remember being at my fiance's house to have dinner with her parents, and by the time her mom sat down at the table to eat, I was done. I think she even said, "Damn, you eat fast." At that point, she didn't know I'd been to prison. You find yourself craving gas station food too, because in there, that's all you're really gonna get. You get really good at mixing all your food together. In there, they call it a goulash. I'll have some episodes on fine prison dining soon, and we're going to go over all that. I even struggled with going in the shower at home without wearing shower slides or boxers. People in there do some gross stuff in the shower. Never go in the shower without your slides on. I always wore my boxers because I would wash them as I showered. And you never know what punk is going to stroll into the bathroom trying to get a look. That's another thing you become desensitized to. I can remember my first time seeing 2 men rubbing lotion on their feet. I was like, where am I? It's nothing to see 2 men fight over another man in there. I can remember seeing 2 guys run to the chow hall to see who could get and bring back the coffee cake for the punk. It's like a bad soap opera. It's like 4 queer eyes for the little white boy straight guy. Becoming a clean freak. I can remember being in confinement and my cellie would wake up every day to scrub the cell down. He would use toothpaste and a wet rag. He never missed a day of cleaning. And slowly, I would catch myself doing the same thing. I think it all stems from living in a dirty place. Either that or it's some kind of mental therapy inmates turn to. But I still notice it to this day. Everything has to be clean and in order. Prison can create an OCD issue within yourself. You literally have nothing to do, so you start finding things to occupy the dead time. if you're in confinement for a while, cleaning becomes the thing to do with that. Demanding respect. It's something you must live by in prison. There are certain words and things you just won't tolerate. You're not going to let anyone talk to you some kind of way. And years of living like that can really affect you when you finally do hit the streets. It's just so different. People on the street will say all kinds of crazy stuff over social media, on the phone, or through a text because there's a sense of safety that comes with that. When those same people see you in person, they usually aren't bringing that same energy. But you remember it, and it's almost like you have a fight within yourself to not act on what you really want to do to them. There's nowhere to run and hide in prison, so unless you're ready to fight, you're just not going to say certain stuff. Unfortunately, in the free world, many people haven't been exposed to the real violence, so they don't understand the levels to it. Hopelessness, lost, and broken. You literally become accustomed to it. You always feel like you're being judged. At least for me, when I try to change my life and start hanging around normal people, I always felt like once they'd find out I'd been to prison, they're not going to want anything to do with me. As much as people say they don't judge people by their past, they do. I would find myself just being quiet when I was around people. I would always hear people talk about the struggle. Most don't even know what the real struggle is. That's another thing prison does to you. When you're in there, you get really good at reading people, which can be a lonely experience in the free world because it's easy to spot fake people. I would always find myself getting panic attacks. When I got out, I was faced with tons of decisions. When you're locked up, you don't have bills because you get 3 hots in a cot. You know where you're laying your head down every night. You just don't have much responsibility besides staying alive. But when you're released, all that changes and it can get very stressful. I didn't know what or where my life was going. I know I didn't want to go back. But as far as responsibilities go, I was clueless. My heart would literally start racing every time I had to make a decision because I didn't want to make the wrong one. Over time, that changed, but in the beginning, it was hard. That's why so many people go back. They just don't know how to live normal. Finding a job for a person with a criminal background can be impossible at times. So many people go back to hustling, and eventually they're right back in that insanity cycle. I really want to go more in depth on how hard it can be finding a job with a criminal background. More of that on the next episode. If you've made it this far, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and make sure you turn on those post notifications so you can hear it first. It's DOC TV, and I'm out.